A Singapore Prime Minister Loong says Singaporeans must never take peace and harmony for granted. He made those comments on the 30th anniversary of the 1991 Singapore Airlines hijacking incident. On that day, 4 Pakistanis seized control of the plane in mid-air, taking more than 100 passengers and crew members hostage. PM Lee says Singapore's security forces could mount a successful rescue operation because they had spent years equipping, training and practicing for that day. He salutes and calls for support of Singapore's uniformed personnel who continue to safeguard peace and security amid the pandemic.
The incident 30 years ago remains the only hijacking involving a Singapore Airlines aircraft. We recap the events of that fateful day. At about 9:30 p.m, SQ117 departed Kuala Lumpur with 114 passengers and 11 crew members. Shortly after takeoff, the armed hijackers seized control of the cabin and demanded the release of a number of people detained in Pakistan. They'd wanted to land the plane in Sydney, but there wasn't enough fuel. Then at about 10:30 p.m, the plane touched down at Changi Airport. A crisis management team began negotiations with the hijackers. 4 hours later, after 2 threats to set the plane on fire, negotiators agreed to refuel the plane. At daybreak, the hijackers issued an ultimatum. They threatened to kill 1 hostage every 10 minutes unless their demands were met. Negotiations stopped, and a decision was made to mount a rescue operation. Just before 7 a.m, Singapore Armed Forces commandos stormed the plane and took down the 4 hijackers in 30 seconds. All hostages were unharmed. We spoke to 2 hostages who endured and survived the ordeal.
Flight SQ117 was taken over by 4 Pakistani terrorists.
They threatened to kill the hostages.
Can we just... Please. No.
Hi, I'm Ted. I joined the airline in 1990. I was a cabin crew on board SQ117.
I'm Hsien. I was booked on the return flight on this SQ117. It was a business trip that occurred at the last moment.
What was the first sign something was amiss? After the seatbelt sign went off, 2 pairs of passengers, 2 going to the left side of the toilet and the other 2 went to the right side of the toilet. As they came out from the toilet, they just started to shout, "This is a hijack, don't move."
That day was also the Academy Award presentation in the US. I thought these people were celebrating and they were shouting for their, for their stars.
My first reaction was, they must be drunk. And with the Singapore Airlines smile, I said, "Sir, would you like to go back to your seat?" And that's where I got hit, punched and kicked till I realized that, oh, is this for real?
Describe your encounter with the hijackers.
The hijackers quickly took control of the aircraft. I still remember the leader's name is Shahid. They brought all the crew to the back of the galley.
The hijackers, for better control of all these passengers, came and said all passengers from the first class to move back to the economy area. There was a woman who came and sat next to me. The problem was she started chatting with me and she started asking all kinds of things, and I just wanted her to shut up.
A hijacker took out a white powder packet that want us to pour into a drink, which was given to Bernard. Sure enough, after about 10 minutes, Bernard was a little bit unconscious. One of the hijackers came back and then dragged him along the cabin, but the leader came back and tell us that, "I'm sorry, I killed one of your friends." Did you think you were not going to survive the hijack? About 4+ in the morning, I could hear trucks outside the aircraft. Shahid came back to us, telling us, after the plane has been refueled, you together, the captain, will go with us to Sydney. The fear was, should the aircraft leave Singapore, the plane might blew up in mid-air and will never arrive in Australia. It was the lowest moment in my life because lots of emotion came through my mind. Sorry. It wasn't the fear of death, but it's the fear of leaving a responsibility behind. I thought I'm going to die.
What was your first reaction when the commandos stormed the plane? I saw men in black. Someone shouted into the plane. And the leader, he shouted, "Kneel down," from the seat. My goodness, this is English. This must be the rescue that I was waiting for. Within seconds, I was on the floor with my hands up.
Gosh, it's just like, you've been pushed down in the water. You couldn't breathe, finally get out of water. It feels good that you're given a chance to live again. Do you still think about the incident? 30 years on, if you were to ask me, how do I feel about the hijackers? I do not have a comment on that. But you shouldn't take other people's life as a bargaining chip to get what you want.
So a few months later, again I had to go to Kuala Lumpur. The only available seats are on this flight, SQ117. I said, yeah, why not? Book it. I don't think the lightning strikes twice on the same spot.